A good, great morning, guys, and welcome to the Guyanese Critic Live. This morning, I have in studio Critic Gilbert. Um, he's going to tell you a little bit about himself to start right off the bat. But Mr. Gilbert's interest is intellectual property rights. And I'm going to tell you something. He has been on my case for a long time, saying, Critic, we got to talk about this. Critic, we got to get this out there. And I have been telling him, buddy, come and you tell the people, you know how we do it. We keep it real all the time. So, Kwesi, welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks for this opportunity to
Thank you.
sit in with us, educate the people as to what is intellectual property rights. But firstly, tell me a little bit about yourself. Let's get an understanding of who you are, what you do, and
All right. Good morning, Guyana. Well, Kwesi Gilbert is Kwesi Gilbert. That's my government name, aka Malachi. A lot of people know me as Malachi. I'm a radio personality, producer, director. Over the years, I've done several things in Guyana, including production of ads, and most famously, I do radio. At one point, I did it in Guyana, but I'm now doing it internationally to several radio stations across the globe, to the UK, Canada, Australia, the US, that kind of thing. And one of my focus over the years has been the whole issue of intellectual property in Guyana, because I looked at it approximately about 16 to 17 years ago. I started looking at the whole issue of what was happening in the music industry, because as you travel, you realize that everybody has a uniqueness to their culture through their music. And you didn't readily pick that up in Guyana when you get here, because if you listen to the radio station, it doesn't you don't
sound
hear
like it's Guyana.
yeah, it doesn't sound like Guyana. I mean,
Something wrong with them people, by
I mean, if you go to Jamaica and you listen to the Jamaican radio
you know it's
station,
Jamaican radio
you know it's
station.
a Jamaican radio station because
In Guyana,
in Guyana.
no. In Guyana, the artists speak like this Jamaican.
Well, that's you see, that is where I'm saying Critic is the beginning of where the discussion has to start, because um, uh, we're so influenced by other people's culture. And I like to say Jamaicans, and not hitting at our sister CARICOM nation, but they're colonizing other Caribbean nations through the music. And because Guyana does not understand the structure, we're getting kind of swept under the carpet with our culture, and our culture has a uniqueness to it. It has, and we have basically we have the only living legend right now in the music industry, who is Eddie Grant. All right, I mean, Jamaica has a living legend, that was Bob Marley, but he's gone. We have a living legend, and we have not given any credence, any real recognition to this. And my whole mantra is about the whole recognition for musicians and also for the creatives, which will be regarding intellectual property, right? All right, because it affects everything around you. I mean, people might not think it's affecting them, but it does. I'll give you an example. Everybody, when they get a certain amount of money, they want to say, okay, I'll buy a bottle of champagne. All right. But one of the things they don't realize is that that's a bottle of wine, really, bubbly or dry. The thing is, champagne is not a product, but a region in France. All right. So all the wine producers in the region, or the Champagne region of France, use the name. So that is what we would ascribe to be geographical property, right, or intellectual property, because it belongs to that country and that region. Now, if you go to New York, you will find a bar in New York called the Demerara Bar. All right. Now, these are all things that belong to Guyana. It's not the first time I've seen it. I've seen people use names and stuff from Guyana, and we don't have any control over that. So that's where
And
intellectual property comes in.
and when you say control, I would want to think you're suggesting not even respect as to where it
No,
comes from.
no, because if you hear reggae music,
Mm.
immediately your mind goes to Jamaica because the credit goes to Jamaica for reggae
Yeah.
music. All right,
With
but
Demerara Bar. And
how do you
Demerara is
have
Guyana.
exactly?
Mm.
Demerara is Guyana.
Mm.
So once we understand the whole aspect, and let me give you a simplified version of what copyright is based on Google. Copyright is a legal term used to describe the rights that creators have over their literal and artistic work. All right. So whether you're a writer, producer of videos, music videos, short films, vlogs, I mean, you are a creator. And from that, you obviously you're trying to make your living off of what it is that you're doing. Even if you're a musician, you want to have to be able to play and to profit from that.
Mm.
But if there's no scheme or regime that allows you to benefit from that, you don't have that craft, and you don't have the creatives in Guyana to move forward. And I'll give you a thing that I heard the other day. Well, not the other day. I think I heard it maybe a year and so before. The the body that governs all the radio stations that collects the license for radio stations. Um, I don't think they understand collecting license for radio stations what it's all about, because you're collecting the license for what? Think about it. What are they collecting the money for?
What are they licensing you for?
Exactly. What are they licensing you for? They're licensing you because you're paying to use people's creative work. So that money
To
that
have
is,
rights too.
yes, all
Or at
right,
least that is the way it should be.
that is the way it
It
should
should
be.
be.
It
Yeah,
should be. Now you should. Now all these radio stations are paying in. That is not money that should just be accumulated. We're actually supposed to have a representative body that represents, for example, artists in Guyana. And this is why the intellectual property regime is so important. But we were removed from that, I think, during the period of Forbes Burnham. We were removed from the Bern and the Paris Convention. So because of that and that whole delink, in other countries, yes, we have piracy and all that going on. It's a norm. But in an emerging, let's say an emerging economy as Guyana is a growing economy as portrayed, based on the fact that we've now got oil and we're moving in a good trajectory. It is a good thing to look at. I know that is not something that is going to be tabled in Parliament tomorrow, but it is.
Let's start the discussion now.
Yeah, let's start the discussion.
Why
now,
not
because
now?
it does affect the youth. And if we are very interested in the development of youth in Guyana and the moving forward of that, there are a lot of youth who are in the creative, they're producers. And when I talk about the music industry, let me give you an idea of how many people it will pull in. You've got the artists. Those are just the top tier that you will see. Behind the artists, they're the producers, they are the engineers who work in the studios, they're the players of the instruments to create the beat. Then you have songwriters, you have image consultants, you have people who work on their marketing. So you have a whole industry basically created from the creative people just by having those regimes in place.
Now, Gilbert, this is something you have brought to my attention. I think over a process of 3 years, you've been Critic. Talk about this. Talk about this.
I've talked to everybody.
You're watching the program. You obviously got to be watching the program because you're messaging me, Critic. Talk about this.
Yeah.
Now, do you think, or I would like you to identify the real problem, because the honest truth is, you are the only person that has been very persistent as it relates to the discussion Now, again, they might be other people doing things out there.
Yeah.
I haven't met them.
True.
With me, you have been very persistent in saying, Critic, intellectual property rights, intellectual property rights. Do you think it's a problem of Guyana not being ready? Do you think it's a problem of the people? Um, do you think it's a problem of the artists? Do you think it's a problem of the government? Because a government that has an interest could make anything happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
This administration did not have that on their campaign. And if you look at what they had on their campaign, is the interest of the people that have been brought up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why I ask these different questions is because I do not see persons from the music industry who have been elevated to a certain level using their platform. You see them use it more for politics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You would see them using their platform for politics before they use it for their own food going in their mouth. And I'm asking me, if you come around anything funny while doing partner, it's Warren the Gulf. I up the road. I want to know what you're doing here. Yes, right now, since I'm using this green paint, you can't even talk about green paint. You can't raise the VAT, but no. Yes, sir. I tell you, I got problem with planting right now because planting green, me paint green. I want to know if effect for me color.
And I see that's the big thing though.
Planting.
Price.
The funny thing with that, right? And again, there is no statistics to show as a result of the world economy or whatever, or a result of heightened export has caused the rise in planting. I'm talking about specifically planting, right? Because you know something? Potatoes still reasonable. And when you want to know when this country playing politics, my brother, go to every restaurant. I went the reason Hard Rock Coffee, so I could remember having dinner with a big politician. And I said, I want plantain for my fries. The blessed don't think I'll put it. I said, I said, hey, you're going at? Plantain coming on this table. You can't be afforded Hard Rock Coffee. I say, you will not be afforded the opportunity. I'm coming. I'm seeing you hanging up guitar. I know guitar because I don't know nothing about that. I want plantain when I come in. The politician hollering. Man, no, don't behave bad. I say, you sit here, invite these people to this country, then have them selling potato when we don't plant. I said, Pat, the people are going to borrow planting from the next place and bring it. Yeah, because they didn't have planting and they could not have gone to the market so fast.
Well, you see, that's where Critic. You see how everything is intertwined. Culture is intertwined with food, intertwined with art, intertwined with music. You see how everything that is uniquely Guyana is a selling point for Guyana. All right? And should be protected by every means. Because, for example, pepper pot is our national dish. Jamaica is ackee and saltfish. You will not find in New York, you will not find somebody who is not Jamaican have a place called ackee and saltfish or the jerk pit. Because those things are uniquely coined Jamaican products, Jamaican style. So because they are, and this again goes back to respect for intellectual property, because even the smaller islands, Barbados and all the smaller islands, are involved in intellectual property, and they don't have a huge population per se versus Guyana.
No, but I asked you the question I asked, and I'm going back to the planting thing just now because I want to clear it up. Well, let me talk about the planting. Let me tell you how I see it, because we got the history of the planting.
Right.
Now, my thing is, this price is about supply and demand. Now, you're saying things are expensive, but what is cost of living has gone up, right? The things that really should worry us is greens, rice, sugar, the things that we produce. You understand? Because we have control over that and should have control over that.
Yeah.
Right? The way when you telling me thing gone up, I saying cereal, I ain't making no cereal. You could keep that. And buddy, it's going to go down because this is about supply and
And demand,
demand.
exactly.
With plantain, why I was telling you about the restaurant I went to get the plantain. It's plantain, they ain't promoting plantain. It's not such a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? I just got to go and tell you, you have to sell plantain in your place. If there's something that you're selling, this must be plantain. When people say fries, I say, when I say fries in Guyana, if I say fries in America or anywhere else, yeah, I can do anything. Use what you just make fries. But fries in Guyana is plantain. I want to see plantain.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, everybody's up in arms. And plantain is not a main staple in our homes.
No.
What happened? Politically is a nice time to discuss it. Yes, and to use it. But hey, ease up a plantain for a couple of days. If them ban a plantain left in at Puerto Rico Wharf, the prices will go down. Yes,
It's about supply and demand.
It's about supply and demand. Simple.
Simple things.
Now, people are going to say, so what happened to all the other things? Let's work on one thing at a time.
True.
You understand? We got to start some way. Right now, the basic, because the plantain, I don't know what's the excitement with plantain. And plantain, long ago, used to make plantain porridge. They make the little plantain flour.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and you ain't seeing them things. What is going on?
This is again what I'm talking about too. Is the level of the productivity that needs to happen. We need to really focus on productivity. I mean, on aside from what you're talking about the planting, I gotta say, I like what I'm seeing in terms of what the Minister of Culture and Youth and Sport has been doing, Charles Ramsey, with the artists in Guyana, giving them a forum, giving them a stage. I've seen you also involved.
Anything with local people don't know. Mm-hmm. People don't know what my issue is. I might be mad. I'm mad about this country.
Yeah, so am I.
Is this country's getting me mad?
So am I.
You understand?
I'm crazy about it.
I just there, brother. You could tell me about my mother, and I just laugh. And then if you tell me about me country, I just get them road banners called Fristofranic. I start tripping. Yes, I want to know who's you. That's why sometimes I get carried away. Me, my own people get in arguments because I'm asking myself, what interest you got and what you have done. Mm-hmm. I wake up every morning thinking, you understand? I just arguing, but I just recently had a bad day because I driving on the road, so they put this on big posts. You understand? Mm-hmm. And people don't know how that affect me. When I talk about something, I see everything. True. I don't talk about everything because you start looking like you're an old granny. You understand? But I've learned address the issues as they come. Yeah. You understand? Address the issues as they come. What has happened? Like children, right? This is a country we're bringing up. And the people are supposed to nurture, like how you nurture your children, you got to nurture your country, right? Because it's not a thinking being. We are the thinking beings within the country. So it's very
educated.
You got to educate, right? So it's important for one to understand what role they play. Like when I can't imagine for the world, I can't explain. Why would anybody sit down in a minibus and not any minibus? All of them is the same thing. Mm-hmm. You understand? Big cost up music, right? Your people sit down, people bracing up, or people. The main fact that you have to deal with these kind of issues, it's really, really hard. Mm-hmm. That you have to degrade yourself mentally to say, well, here, I'm trying to fit in into society like this. Nobody should have to go through that.
True.
You understand? And it comes back to, is it a case whereas the government has to do something? Is it a case whereas the artists? Is it a case whereas we all have to do something? But I want to be able to say, we started a discussion here. Yeah. Me and you, Gilbert, and we can keep banging it.
Yeah, we keep banging it.
You understand?
But one of the things I'm glad you touched on, if it's the point of Is it the artist that is supposed to be doing it? You see, the a structure of that magnitude, it takes not only artists, it takes legal minds, it takes government minds, it takes private sector minds. It
Will.
will, because it is not something that is strictly, let's say, isolated to a couple of people who are singing.
Mhm.
All right, because intellectual property, as I told you, is a vast. It covers a lot.
But
There's a
what
huge
happened,
spectrum.
Gilbert, if the people who are there
Mhm.
are benefiting from something that they're comfortable with?
Well,
Again, it's got to start somewhere. The
mhm,
artists have to say, like us having this discussion,
mhm,
show them that as a result, and when it comes to politics, is all about votes, right?
mhm,
It's all
mhm.
about votes.
Yeah,
So you
true.
show them here. We could open up an industry. As a result of opening up this industry, we will benefit so much financially. This will create so much jobs. Yes, sir. We got a master plan when we go into these people. A
Mhm,
lot of people are crying. Oh, I want this and I want that. But everybody wants something. The politician has to choose what is important.
mhm.
Certain things are life and death situations, got to be dealt with
True.
right away. You
Mhm,
understand? A lot of things we got, like right now, we talking intellectual property rights,
mhm.
but the real talk of the day and the real issue that needs to be addressed is plantain prices. Seriously. Yeah, because this is food in people's house.
Mhm,
You understand? As much as I have a different opinion or a different outlook on it, because understand supply and demand,
mhm,
but that is the issue of the day. And that is because of the price affecting people negatively, people are hungry and they're looking at the politician and saying, man, what happened? Why
mhm,
you ain't do nothing? So I think we gotta have, if you can tell me some of the long-term benefits,
mhm.
right? Because outside of our need and putting out a plan, we have been a vulgar society for very long. That is hands down fact. You understand?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just look at the recent cleanup campaign
Mhm,
that the
mhm.
president have had to
Actually, I was
initiate.
paying attention to the cleanup campaign. I looked at
Give me your take on it. Give me your take on it.
well, first, I know that, I mean, come on, if we're living in a city, the city got to be clean. You know, it's very important that we live in a clean environment. Um, but what I've heard and seen, during and after the cleanup campaign, it was funny. It was funny for a minute. I seen a video too with the mayor saying not to
Boycott.
participate, to boycott
Jesus.
the clean. That was a bit funny because I'm thinking you're the mayor of Georgetown, and hey, you should be looking out for the citizenry. I mean, that's not something you should say. Even if you have your personal political views, that's not something you publicize.
You keep it in the down low.
Yeah, you got to keep that.
I
You
it
got,
was strange. It
that's
is
straight. That's being actually to be an astute politician means that's how you think. You've got to be a tactician. You really couldn't be, um, just plain or average Joe. With your thought pattern. But on the thing with planting, do you know that intellectual property also covers agriculture as well? Intellectual property goes into agriculture.
Monsanto.
All right. For example, Guyana has a unique product which we've never capitalized on, which is Sidium. All right.
Sidium.
Sidium. All right. Sidium is a product that you can have maybe Sidium wine made out of. And that could be a unique product coming
Mhm.
out of Guyana. Same thing with carambola, or what we call five finger. All right. This is where our names of our fruits, products, regions, all of that can be protected under intellectual property. It's a very ticklish subject. Ideally, one of the things that we should do a little later on is have a couple of lawyers, legal minds, because that will give us more of a perspective of where exactly intellectual property affects businesses, affects agriculture, affects creatives, as in people who write voiceovers, because all of these are covered by intellectual property. And as simple as you look at it, you sit here, you produce your program, you have a YouTube channel that is monetized, all right? But is your YouTube channel monetized from Guyana?
No, and it should be.
This is what I'm trying
We
to
should
explain to you.
have more control of what
Your
our daily lives is like.
This is what I'm telling you. Intellectual property. You have to monetize your page from outside of Guyana in order to get your accrued payments for it. You couldn't have it done here. So all of those regimes need to be incorporated so that people who are doing, for example, artists who've got videos online that are streamed 200 and something thousand people, they don't get any money for that in Guyana. But for example, if they were living in a country that has intellectual property, they will benefit. If because they're registered, obviously you've got to be registered as an artist and all of that. And what we need to do in Guyana is also do the same things. We need to create databases of what we have of our creative people, so that, for example, when the Ministry of Culture is looking for people to go to Carifesta and to represent Guyana, we've got a vast database set up. So we've got artists, we've got writers, we've got actors, and you've got to move it stage from stage, and those are all parts of what comes on the culture.
What's the closest neighbor we could go to that have this level of intellectual property rights that you're talking about?
We could check our neighboring countries. Two of them actually on our way: Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados.
Has these?
Yep. Yep.
Whoa,
Yep.
whoa,
Yep.
whoa, whoa.
Actually, a lot of people in Guyana know this story of our living legend. I'll give you a story about Eddie Grant. Do you know that Eddie Grant had come here after he had left the Equals in the UK?
I did not know that.
And came back home to establish his studio in Guyana. And unfortunately, due to issues with one of the previous presidents,
Burnham at that time.
Well,
Burnham, I think Burnham liked attention.
Well,
if a man got a house, one man got 100 window house, he make the man put 99 window, so he get 100 window house. Yes, sir. The banner had an ego.
Well, it's a bit of narcissism, in my estimation.
But
this is why Eddie Grant has established his business in Barbados, and hence Barbados has developed music industry versus Guyana, because at the time of when Eddie was going to establish his stuff here, we would have been way ahead, and Guyana at one stage was way ahead, because if you check our musical history, if you go back to people like Eddie Hooper, Mr. Shanto King, Young Bill Rogers, and this guy from Port Morant, the singing cowboy. I'm forgetting his name, but those are like really old beginnings of Guyanese music. And when I say Guyanese music, I'm talking about the uniqueness in its sound, and that uniqueness comes out of the fact that there's a mixture of the six beautiful people, which are the Afro, the Indo, the Chinese. So all of that coming together creates a unique sound, because it's different to everybody else in the Caribbean. Because in the Caribbean, most of the islands are just predominantly African. But in Guyana, there's a melting pot happening, and because of that fusion, we have a different sound. We have a different way of doing music from Guyana, and that is unique. And we as Guyanese have to understand that is our unique brand. Just like every other culture or every other island in the Caribbean understands their uniqueness through their culture. That's what we need to cultivate in our country. And to do that, we need to focus on our industries and our creative industries. And that's how we build from that to have a unique cultural, a Guyanese culture.
Why? I've said it before, just moments ago, the fact that you've been at me for a long time. I've been saying, Gilbert, come on the program, you tell the people like it is. You understand?
Yeah.
Why now?
Well, as I told you, I've been not only setting up links, but also working exponentially on radio outside of Guyana and in Guyana to expose the culture of Guyana. For example, there's a huge diaspora of Guyanese in the UK, Canada, the US. And what I've done is started to expose our music to that diaspora of people. And they now take that and they're pushing it, letting people know, hey, we've got a uniqueness of our own. Because this is how everybody else operates. But we don't, I don't know, and the Guyanese have not got that sense of identity, I would like to put it, as uniquely Guyanese, not uniquely Afro or Indo or Chinese, but uniquely Guyanese. That's what we need to formulate. And the only way we formulate that is through the music.
I do not think that most Guyanese understand how music plays a role in cultural development.
Big role in cultural development. A very huge role in cultural development.
Right? If you look at music across the world, you could look at the tone and you could look at the people who listen to those tones and their actions. Yeah. Like if it were controlling you.
Yeah.
Fast pace, rash music, you see people speeding. A cool reggae thing, you see people, everybody has a different approach.
A rhythm.
You understand? A rhythm. A rhythm.
Every country you go to. This is how I look at it, Critic. If you go to Trinidad and you go to somebody's home and you just turn on the radio, you immediately immerse yourself. You get the vibe of that country right away. Because of the music, the culture, the pace of that music. You understand? So when you go to Trinidad, you hearing that, you're hearing that soca rhythm all the time. That is what is pervading in their culture. You feel that energy when you get there. When you come to Guyana, it's you're trying to figure out, okay, it radio sounds Jamaican and European. So you're trying to figure out where are we? Where's the dynamic Guyanese in the whole mix here? You know. So that has been seriously my drive for over 15 years. I've been dealing with it. I've been talking about it. I've been lobbying. Myself, Eddie Grant, and a couple of other people on the ground here in Guyana have had meetings with government officials who had, mentioned that yes, they'll look into the whole issue of intellectual property because Guyana has a one paragraph.
Have you met the Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports, Charles Ramsey?
I'm planning to do that. Remember, I was out the country for a while. As I told you, I'm always trying to expose the music. That's my thing. And I've also I'm the only, I hate to be the person saying this, but I'm the only person who's got an archive of Guyanese music, and it's over 3 terabytes of music produced by Guyanese.
Can I have access to that?
That's a radio station on its own.
Yeah. No, yeah, why? I want to start an online radio, but I want Guyanese music alone. And funny enough, right? We got some they got these banners Fast Friday in Tiger Bay. You ever been down there?
Yeah, I was involved in that.
Cool. Fast Friday is guys support, right? So I just go down there and they got some people and there's a problem with Guyanese, not willing or got what we said the belly to tell people, man, yo, you're not gonna cut it.
This ain't for
Right?
you.
Now, I ain't a man in the music industry. I'm gonna support.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm asking myself, when I hear some people, I'm thinking, what is the next stage?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, they ain't got no say. You ain't got vice, you ain't got attitude, you ain't got nothing. You understand? Don't do this. We had a talent show,
Mm-hmm.
and I was disappointed because the judges, every other part of the world,
Mm-hmm.
judges, to be a judge is a prominent position, no matter
Of
what
course.
you're judging.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
are
Exactly.
the law and order
of that
of
particular.
that program, right? So
Mhm.
I'm looking at the judges, and they're being me. I the butting me head, partner, lashing me head with the mic. If I can't enjoy, I can injure myself. Because what am I listening to? You know, some people need to know, buddy, carpenter, mason, anything else, because you are damaging
Mhm.
the system we are trying to build.
Exactly.
Somebody
Exactly.
needs to tell you. And in the same vein, people need to be there. All of this been set up, Gilbert, and everybody I meet, I say here, we got studio, we got there's another studio over there. It's
Mhm.
2
Mhm.
studios
Mhm.
I got.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I see in the setup. I
State of
see
the
the
art,
setup.
everything. And
Mhm.
I say here, y'all come and do something, anything. So we say critic, how much you can cost? I say, like, yeah, I say, I don't go do the money.
Mhm.
You go out there, give me a shout out. You understand?
You contributed to the
Yeah.
development of the thing.
You give me a shout out. So I want to start Guyanese radio.
Mhm.
And if you say we got terabyte, because we gotta do some numbers. 3 terabytes, you're saying. 3 terabytes. Now we gotta do some numbers because if you're gonna play radio station 24/7, um, you got to have content that is
Exactly.
gonna run for at least 3 days, right?
Without repeat.
Without repeat. Now here what happens there. Some radio stations could run for weeks without repeat.
Mhm.
In the States, since I got a lot of content, Jamaica got a lot of content.
Mhm.
But we don't want Yamapal. And nobody, you can't have a fixed set of people tune into your radio all the time.
No.
So, in the event that we get in rubbing a little too hard, because we intention
Mhm.
is to rub your hard, get your aware of what Guyana got and what we doing, right? So, you could tune out.
Mhm.
Yes, but you know, if you want to hear what's going on with Guyanese, you could tune into this, you know. And I'm hoping that when we're done here, we can talk about
Mhm.
how do we capitalize on these, because I set up all of this.
Yeah.
And upon finish setting up this, you don't want to hear the cost for this. Right? Well, you know, you're there in the industry,
I mean this. I know how it is. I
right?
know it.
So in finish setting up this, you see just now going on, my son had to show me do days, da, da, da. And I'm thinking, Bano, I just pick up my phone, you see, I decide I got one for the phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's already that if I get on my nerves with this thing, I just go to the
You
phone
switch over.
and switch over. You understand? Because that I'm there, I'm
Mhm.
ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
So right away, all this stuff, everybody's like, Chief, what you doing? I say here, them people who are accustomed to them thing or want them things up,
Mhm.
I will give them access to it. Everybody, I tell them, I say, watch, we got a studio. You want? Yeah, the studio is audio too and
Yeah.
photo shoots and so on. And I want to make sure because the first issue will say, oh, we ain't got studio.
Mm. Well,
No.
the thing about it, Guyana's got some good studios, and the
Mm.
thing you mentioned that really perked my ears just now when you mentioned some people and their singing. One of the things that we had, but we lost it, but we still have a couple of people who are involved in it. Is voice training. There is a lady in South Rhineville. She is an award-winning voice trainer from Guyana who
Mm.
has done work with international artists that lives in Guyana. All right. And this is what I tell a lot of the artists. If you want to get into music, the first thing you've got to understand is if you don't write, you got to get a writer. If your voice is okay, you still have to perfect that professionally. You have to get a voice trainer. So going down to an event and trying to get on the mic and stuff.
I says, was this somebody throw a cup of tea and the grums are all over the place?
This is why you said it's more tearing down
Yeah,
what
yeah,
people
yeah.
are trying to build
Yeah.
up. Because instead of understanding what the craft
You know
is,
who's an artist in this country? We have artists like what? Chinese and look at this guy singing from up to Mary. The guy asked me for interview at a time. The guy has a music video.
Skello.
Skello
Oh, okay. Okay.
is considered an artist. You don't watch it. Ah, big accent. And I'm like, do you know what you're doing to the industry? Do you know when people look out or hear scouts?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Scouts. Louis said about doing a live video, and a scout is looking and thinking, Guyana is a place to go. Guyana got island out thing going on there. We could do something.
Mm-hmm.
And they see that here with the character. No, 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 no. It's a country of freaks.
You see, the thing is, it's not that it's bad. I'll give you the perspective on it.
Mm.
Because we don't have an industry, it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You see, in Jamaica, Twins of Twins does the comedic side, just like Skello and a couple of other artists have a comedic side to their music. That's accepted because they have an established industry which has been run. They fought for that for 42 years to get it, and they're still fighting to get it even more. Guyana needs to understand that in order to really move forward in a certain way, and also to integrate very well, music plays a big part of that. And I'll tell you how you see this. Sometimes you see people at a party, and when a Terry Gadraj comes on, you see everybody screwing the bulb and they're doing their thing.
Mm.
And when, let's say, Alabama or a Negus or some other artist from Guyana comes on, everybody's involved. All the faces, because I don't like that word races, because we're actually at a line doing a race. I like faces. So it's 6 beautiful places in a country that comes together and fuses together based on their music. And once that happens, you're going to have that integration.
Beautiful.
So this is why I'm always on the issue of intellectual property, because it brings that idea to fruition.
We got and just listening to you, you know, like you have your heart into it, right?
Passion.
Yeah, you're passionate about what you're doing, and I'm hoping that we could move in a positive direction.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first things I want us to do, I am going to dedicate uh get them guys to set up online radio immediately.
Mm-hmm.
As I speak here, sir, they got people behind the scenes that's be walking.
Yeah.
Here, I just serious about everything me don't know. You know, when we come out here, them guys coming back in here and gonna say, well, here, we could do it this way. We got the method. We could do a website and have it streaming from here.
Yeah.
But online radio it is.
Mm-hmm.
All Guyanese music. This if you want to give me the 3 terabyte of thing, because you're laughing and we talking about intellectual property rights.
Exactly.
So
well, you see, Critic. We just talking about intellectual property, right? I you say give you the music. I can give you an idea. Every bar, every club, every radio station, every establishment that you enter that plays music, whether in the elevator, in the building, on every floor, they're supposed to pay for that. That is what is called a blanket license. You pay a blanket license to hear music, and that is paid. So once we understand those regimes, me handing over a product that is not mine would be illegal for me. I would have to seek permission from. You understand the stages of this?
I understand.
this is why we have the issues we have in Guyana, because the artists do not understand what's got to happen, and the other people involved in the industry do not as well. So we have this kind of stepping on each other's toes. So this is why I'm trying to educate,
If
and
the
not only myself, but
interest,
a few other people are doing the same thing out there.
if the interest is the develop, because my interest is the development of the industry. That's why before we came on, you asked me what I know, and I said I got tunnel vision. You understand? I don't care about nothing other than what you're doing. Now I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, firstly, instead of crying and begging to get things started out, I'm thinking if we could pull off a successful all Guyanese radio, it shows how it could be good business. That's the first thing.
True.
So me asking you, I do some set up Guyanese radio, and if people start tuning in for just 6 hours a day, it becomes a trend.
Yeah.
So now, again, we don't have intellectual property rights, but people are using local content more.
You
right?
create the
Raja. Now, once local content is used more, it has a value.
demand.
We now could show well here. This is why we need intellectual property. You see all this music playing all about the place? Could be money in somebody's pocket.
But it is. That's the thing. It is. If you listen to the content on the radio stations, and most of the radio stations knowing at one stage in time, they were not airing Guyanese content. But now, over time, I would say the last 3 years, 2 years to 3 years, there's been a serious increase of the airing of Guyanese music on Guyanese radio. And like I mentioned earlier, all this money that goes in, I think it accumulated to like what? At one point, it was $254 million in licensing. And all of that money is really supposed to be, some of it is supposed to be dispersed to the artists whose music is being used, especially the Guyanese artists on radio. Because every Christmas time you have Rudy Grant's song, Christmas in Guyana. Every Christmas time or holiday time you hear Slingshot Paul's music on the radio.
How's Slingshot doing?
Slingshot doing pretty all right, man. The last time I saw him, which was a few years ago, I heard he was.
He had a little sickness after. That's what I thought you saw him after.
I heard about the illness, but I didn't see him after. I was involved in producing Slingshot Paul's video. I worked with Sash Prasad. These are some of the older artists. And also I worked with all the new Guyanese artists that you know about and that have been on the One Guyana shows and all that.
Yeah. Okay. We got. What do you think about One Guyana? What do you think about how this administration is rolling out One Guyana? Your take. You say you've been struggling to get this thing out for 15 years. So this administration in a past event you've experienced the other administration was no opposition. But it's back again.
I do understand the dynamics of Guyana. I do understand that we couldn't jump up tomorrow and say, okay, we want to have intellectual property. It's something that has to be, one, you've got to edify, and you've got to that's got to be passed in Parliament, all right? And people got to understand what it is about. I'm not expecting it to happen overnight, but I'm expecting that we do look at it as something that, as we are growing as a growing economy and an emerging economy, that's part of a regime that's going to come in. And I do like what the minister is doing of culture, but what he needs to have put together is, I like to say they need a small think tank, a small group of people that basically look at a problem and work out. That's how we overcome issues, in my estimation. We have a think tank and we work from there, and we can bring people in that think tank, especially with the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport, because we've got so many Guyanese artists spread out across the diaspora, and they're doing very well. And it's a good thing to reach out and pull our people all together. because regardless of whether somebody is born in Jamaica or not, and they're from Jamaican heritage, they claim them. And this is what other people do too. The only people who don't do this, we're a little xenophobic Guyanese. So we need to reach out to our people too out there and pull them in and let them know, hey, not because you left Guyana or you're out of Guyana for a while, that means you're cut off.
Yeah, we got
You're
you.
all we got
No,
you.
but
You're
they're
part
gonna
of it.
come if they know, money is gonna be made here.
No, but the thing is, Guyana get the most remittance in the Caribbean, so you know that Guyana got a strong links outside of Guyana. Guyana gets the most remittance of the Caribbean.
Somebody's saying Chatney's song on YouTube with over 10 million views, and I do not think it's being monetized.
No, they're not getting anything unless they have the information monetized from the US or from a metropolitan country. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen from Guyana. So you're losing
Well,
money.
first
You're
thing,
providing content to platforms for them to make money.
I need you to meet the Minister of Culture, Youth, and Sport. Um, you know, throw some of your ideas out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's still vague for me, and we gotta sit down and really get into it because I want to. If this is going to, and I need more explanation as to how this is going to benefit us. As I tell you,
Mm-hmm.
I got tunnel vision. Me fight. I want to win me fight. So if I'm going to start something, I want to know when we starting, when we going to finish. You understand? Because I'm going to keep banging at it. I'm going to keep banging at everybody. I'm going to keep banging. And I bang at the government every day.
Mm-hmm.
And no, them till we get it right, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, I don't want to look like an opposition which just crying unnecessarily. So once I have the understanding,
Solution oriented is the thing.
well,
Yeah.
once I have the understanding of how this affects Guyanese, and for the most part, you ain't gonna get much of an understanding. The rest of the world has it,
Yes. The rest of
and
the world has
it
it.
benefits them. So I know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how we break it down, you know,
How do we phase it in?
Raja,
How do we phase
phase
it
it in.
in?
How do we phase it in? So we
Right.
gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I also want to know where we end. And I've been thinking about it for a long time. I've been always thinking about, and you got tested. For instance, I tell you, yes, I want the music,
Mm-hmm.
but I gotta listen to it because you gotta know if it
The
makes sense
product.
all the way,
You have to know
right?
the
The product, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because you don't want to go there, create the hyper and a pitch, and
And
then
you
when you
don't have the
got the people,
product.
yeah, the people looking at it, are
Quality of the
listening to it and
product.
saying,
Exactly.
no, this is thing, and it turns them off.
Mm-hmm.
And then it damages the concept of a
The
Guyanese
concept
radio.
of a Guyanese radio.
You understand?
Exactly.
I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So you just got to look at things from all the different perspectives because
True.
I am thinking if we could get the help of the vice trainer, if we could start a talent program,
Mm-hmm.
massive, going across the country, holding everything, then we're going to be sourcing talent like Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber was a little band singing videos. He made a video of him and put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And people saw it and picked up and it went crazy.
In 2016, myself and Malcolm Ferrero started a program which was called Kids Vibes, where we decided, okay, we're going to use our skill personally because we're trained in radio
Mm.
and we're going to mentor students. We use the music school studio to start auditions and stuff like that. Those are stuff I'm planning to bring them back online this year because of COVID. It's a little, the separation and the use of buildings and stuff. We all know what's going on with COVID-19, but those are one of the things I'm planning to bring back because what we need to have is an ongoing process of development. If we're gonna have proper people on the radio presenters and stuff like that, you need to train them from very young. Because when I got trained, I was 13 years old. All right, I got into radio at 13. My first radio exposure was Radio Antilles in the Caribbean. I also worked at Radio Antilles on air doing a radio program called the Children's Hour since I was 13. So I understood just the basics. I was trained in radio, so I know how it works. So in order for us to really have trained professionals, I think we mentor them from school. Those are some of the programs that I wanted to start up, that I did start in Guyana. But of course, I'm focused on really pushing Guyanese culture and music, so that has me busy.
I know Eddie Grant.
Hmm.
Is Eddie or Rudy? Is it the superstar?
Eddie.
Eddie Grant
Hmm.
has made a fortune off of his music.
Hmm.
Um, has the music industry favored you?
Um,
Because I know, like young Bill Rogers.
mhm.
Young Bill Rogers got a job and he's doing things on the side. Is like
The thing is, I'm not an artist.
uh,
I'm not an
no, but
artist.
has the industry favored you?
I would say that because if it didn't, there was no way I would have been exposed or people accepting a Guyanese culture
Mm.
outside of Guyana. For example, I broadcast to Atlanta, New York, Australia, and the UK, and some people you can pick up the stream from anywhere in the Caribbean, and people listen to my show and they're like, I didn't even know Guyana had a music industry.
Hmm.
Are you
You're
serious?
broadcasting online?
Yes, I'm broadcasting on several different platforms across. A matter of fact, my program starts at 9 o'clock Guyana time, which is 8 o'clock US time,
Mhm.
1 o'clock UK time. So it's around the world, and it's playing strictly Guyanese music to the world audience. It's not what they listen to. It's not the Justin Bieber's or the 50 Cents. None of that. It's Guyanese artists
All the time,
all the time,
24/7.
all the time. All the time. So we have to change our mindset, because I think we have this perception that whatever we create at home ain't good enough. All right. That's a mindset we definitely have to work on and change, because whatever we create at home, trust me, it's good enough.
It's the best that the world has to offer for you, and that people don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
What you have is the best.
Is the best.
You want me to tell you something? When you go and look at programs across the world and how to do things, the things that Gordon Ramsay would eat and cook, and some might be tasting like shit for all we know. But Gordon Ramsay, this thing tastes good, and everybody can have it.
Mm-hmm.
The next man eating, and here we thinking, listen, but Gardner Ramsay is smiling, and maybe something is wrong with my taste. Once you love what you do and people see that,
Mm-hmm.
they draw naturally from that vibes.
They're attracted to it because you have pulled them
Yeah,
into it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know it. I know it more than anybody else. That people come with it. When I started this and as the Guyanese critic, and I asked people, I
Mm-hmm.
say, do you know what a critic is? Like people say, oh, he always criticize him, he always talk. So
Ah,
that is the gist of the thing.
they don't understand. You got to understand. It's critical analysis of what is happening. That's why it's the critic.
Yeah, they
It's
don't get
critical
it.
analysis. That's what it's all about.
Like from time to time, I have to come down hard on people that are close to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, "Mommy, you friend." I said, "Like you understand what's going on? This thing don't work, so
Yeah, but if your friend's slipping,
yeah." No, but they're in a culture, a cesspool
mm-hmm,
of negativity,
mm-hmm,
of
mm-hmm,
passing things off, corruption.
sweeping things
They don't
under the
understand.
carpet.
The reason I hold this position is because I've created high standards and I've kept it. I
Mm-hmm,
come out of the crab barrel and say, well, here, this is the standards I want to set,
mm-hmm,
and this is
mm-hmm.
where I'm going to be, this is where I'm going to stay. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
so we got to do that with the music industry.
for
I
real.
want to touch on, I don't know if you've been tracking the Ministry of Health just stopped testing to come out bad.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
And
yep.
there's much uproar, and everything in this country is an uproar
Uproar.
for
Yeah.
politics, for political reasons. Because outside, you get tested for COVID, you go in, you isolate yourself
Mm-hmm,
for 4 to 7 days. Once you're feeling well, you come out back.
mm-hmm.
because everybody understands how COVID works now.
Because they understand, because they've been given the education. One of the things I want to point out, Critic, nobody in Guyana has information of none of the previous vaccinations they have gotten. All right? The vaccination that they have the most information about is the COVID-19 vaccination. That's the vaccination that you have the most information. Think about it. If you think about the polio, measles, all the other shots that you got, do you know exactly what went into them? Which doctor was involved in discovering this? None of that. You don't even look at that information. But this bit of information is right there, and people are saying, oh,
Still confused.
um,
It seems that information confuses them. No. It seems you would expect information would make you better informed.
Exactly.
It's unbelievable
how people operate with information. In front of you.
Now, I tell them there might be a theory, a conspiracy theory, that somebody created the vaccine to make money, and that's out there. I say, let's accept it as a fact. Here was the funny thing. So a man creates a vaccine for you to buy it, right? He wants to make money. What do you think happens to the person who refuses to be his customer? So the conspiracy theorists, they first should go and get the vaccine. If you accept this, that this people that this was created, why did you think they created? Will you not put some money in the pot? You will die. You need to get vaccinated.
Well, this is what is the outcome of not taking the information that's readily available in front of you. Because when people don't do that, you notice what has happened. We started with COVID-19. Then there's the Delta and now the Omicron. This is because, in hindsight, the COVID-19 could have been just a easy virus, and it would have gone right away if everybody had understood and worked with the program of being vaccinated and social distancing and all that. But because none of those things were actually seriously taken into consideration in the beginning of the pandemic, you have a problem. And based on my little scientific knowledge, it tells me if you have two strains, it's going to keep mutating. And after a while, you're going to have a virus that cannot be stopped. And that's a very serious thing. People got to think about it.
Yeah. We need to get rid of that. We're figuring out now how to live with it. We gotta live with it.
For now,
like all of my staff, I went to the bank and the bill said, most of them staff in there, they got a cold. If you cough now, it creates suspicion. Before nobody paid attention to that.
Nobody paid attention to
right?
That. Yeah.
It creates suspicion. So the information that we get have confused us because like never before have we gotten so much information on one thing. And funny enough, it is never before because our generation has never experienced something that affected the world.
But I'll tell you something that I pick up because I'm into marketing, right? One of the things that has created this kind of hysteria, this kind of paranoia regarding vaccines. It's one, social media, and two, Hollywood. All right? Because the movies before COVID-19,
always vaccines transforming into something.
It built up
aliens trying to vaccinate you.
Exactly. It built up your mental setting. And this is the thing people, Guyanese got to kind of
backfire on them.
What's going on, right? Hollywood had all these movies of doctors doing experiments.
Yeah, anytime you see here, it's important to get vaccinated for different things and to get injections to draw blood and everything. But every time You see in Hollywood, a doctor with a syringe is some kind of serial killer, some kind of freaky thing they
You
create.
remember Resident Evil?
Yeah.
They got like six
Yeah.
Resident. These are the movies that kind of in your subconscious because it's not in your conscious
Yeah.
mind. It goes into your subconscious and subconsciously affects the way you look at
Advax.
vaccine.
Here,
It's a very simple thing.
listen to me. I've spoken to a few people and they got issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, explain to me, go a little in depth into what really your problem is with this vaccine. They don't know. Here, you talk to those people,
Mm-hmm.
and while you're talking to them, you pull out a needle and you see they do so cringe right away. They're just finding anything to talk or say to stay away from needles.
Needles.
A lot of people don't like needles. And I don't think we have done enough research to figure out,
Mm-hmm.
how we going to slide this in.
But the beautiful thing about it, there's a company now called Merck. They have the pill, which is, I think it's supposed to be FDA approved in a matter of weeks, or if it hasn't been approved as yet. But there's a pill now. The problem with the pill is that you've got to wait until you actually show symptoms or you actually feel sick,
Oh.
and then you can use the pill. But for me, I would advise everybody get vaccinated. No, it doesn't have nanomites and all that nonsense. So
Yeah, somebody show me, a friend show me, he brother put a thing in a magnet.
nah.
You understand?
If
No,
if
here
if,
now.
if
You
you feel
want to know the magnetic properties, I think. Here, it can't be like this. You can't put your hand like this. You got to turn your hand when something holding up on the bottom, so turn your hand like this.
but if you understand your biology of your body, if a shard of glass, very minute shard of glass, gets
Goes
into your
into your bloodstream.
you will die.
You got dead bodies. Here.
Now, if you put, they're talking about. I mean, we understand there's a study about nanotech and all of that, but it is not that advanced where you could create a blood cell out of metal or a nano robot that gets in there, gets in your heart, you're gonna die. So the whole theory of, you see, Hollywood again puts these concept ideas forward and people latch on to them as though it's truth. But no, it's science fiction. Most of it is stuff that is in development process, which we're talking 40, 50, maybe 100 years down.
And when you sit down and talk to guys, they are an authority on vaccines from information they receive from Resident Evil.
What? It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I look at it. I said, so yeah, I saying you will create the vaccine for you to use it. No, here was the next thing. You have to have a society, people, to use this vaccine. So the vaccine has to work. It has to be a sustained business.
Because if it was like some people say, oh, they just want to kill us off. I mean,
what business they're doing after you dead?
What business is there?
This is
what is the idea of the richer class killing off all the poor people? I mean, where
they get the rest of the money from?
Where do you get the money? Where do you have an economy from?
No.
What happens?
Next thing. All right. They just want to get you sick. How does a world strive on sick people? Who's gonna take care of who if we all get sick?
You don't have a GDP happening in no time.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And Guyana more than anywhere else, crazy. So, Gilbert, we could go on all day about the things we like and what we want best for this country. Yeah. But I want us to do this more often. But first, after this, I want to make sure you meet the Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport, because he's a very dynamic person. He's very aggressive.
I've been following what's going on
in what he does. And I think if he understands the concepts that you have and understand the importance of there be some movement. Now, then necessarily got the train, we ain't got to get bullet train, but we need to start choo choo choo.
Choo choo.
We need to move.
Move.
You
True,
understand?
true. Because we on the
And
move.
also, I'll try to see if the president could spare you um some time, because the president.
If I'm gonna, I'm not gonna critic.
Mm,
If I'm gonna have that meeting, I would really like to bring together a group of minds, because it's not only myself. I'm just a part of a group of minds that
get
has
them,
been, trust me, that has been working, not now, for years, for
get
years.
them, get your group together. I'm gonna reach out to the people that's gonna make a meeting happen,
Hmm.
and you're gonna meet. Now, what we got? We started from the top, and we are gonna work with the people, making sure they're getting the content they're hearing what Guyanese
Hmm.
sound like,
Yep.
getting to start loving the Guyanese feeling.
Hmm.
And at the top, you tell the people, here, this is the situation, this is where it's gonna go, because I see this playing in well into the president's One Guyana initiative,
It is.
right?
It is.
And music, more than anything else, is very good for culture. And I know that is going to help us to jump these borders,
Trust me.
right? And when you listen to Jomu or to Mika Marshall
Hmm.
or Terry
God,
Gadraj,
Raj.
you don't get this like a split thing with music.
No, that's what I'm
When you
saying. You
take
get
up your
that one.
daro and you start drink and party, nobody ain't got time with who's singing.
It's one.
You's going Indian communities and banner there, thing like this,
Right.
some vibes cartel,
Tell
banner,
one
right?
man.
Nobody in things. So I think through this, we could really, really um ensure that there's a one Guyana everywhere,
Hmm.
in the buses, in the
Yep.
cars, in the clubs,
Hmm.
everywhere, you know.
At one point in time, a few years ago, I had made a move on social media, which said it was a demand actually that all radio stations had to play 50% Guyanese content.
Mm.
I was lobbying for that. But I notice now that a lot of them have, because the music quality, the development, and again, the only way you're going to have that move or development is if people are encouraged to go in that direction. All right. If somebody spends money to produce and go through that process and nobody takes them seriously to play their music
Mm.
or to encourage them,
That will break anybody's
that will
spirit.
break you.
Mhm.
So we as Guyanese have to learn that in order for us to build up something, we got to encourage each other. And to do that, that's how we move things forward. So somebody might start off as a scrubby, but when you start to push them, you start to ear them and you start to talk to them, that whole development process happens, because Jamaica did not start off at the top of it all. It built up from ska, then it became reggae, then it became dancehall. That's how it built up.
Gilbert, you're a trove of knowledge in the music industry, and I'm hoping I could access that more often. And we got to do this more often, buddy.
Blessings,
I
bro.
want to thank you for coming, and I want to thank my viewers for your support. I want you to really think about what Gilbert has been talking about, and he has been on me, and I've been saying, buddy, you come and you tell the people, and we've had a positive conversation. You guys see, um, you know, I'm hoping that you've gotten enough for us to make a start, a conscious start, and
Hmm.
let today be the starting of a discussion for intellectual property rights. And then we're going to go into detail as to what it means. First thing, one has to know what intellectual property rights means. I don't want to start a conversation we end up with a set of no people. Everybody knew, like the COVID, everybody knew, and their information comes from Resident Evil. No, we ain't doing that here. Gilbert has spent, great part of his life in the music industry, and trying to develop the music industry, not just the music industry, local content, Guyanese artists,
Hmm.
right? So we got to look at that. And I too am responsible, because look, I used to go to Fast Friday, and I don't know if it's not the guys calling me. I haven't been able to go for a few times, but now we got the studio set up. Um, I'll discuss with Gilbert when I'm off here about a program that sees a yearly, maybe a yearly talent search. And you got, I can take it on and I can be the judge because I'm telling you, these judges, yes, and they go for get attention for themselves, right? It turn out, the thing turn out to a freak show, right? Yeah. When I watch it, them, they got their own freaky issues and it's a big joke.
Hmm.
This is
Hmm.
serious thing.
It's a very serious
You
business.
understand? Right
It's a
away,
very serious
as a
business.
judge, I would like to be informed in certain areas that I can say, buddy, you need to go to the auntie in South who does voice training. You understand? You got a good thing, or you don't need to sing.
Hmm.
Who write this thing? I write this down. You need to be a
You
writer.
need to be a writer.
You understand? Everybody, the industry has so many aspects to it.
So many
You know,
aspects.
you,
I'm not going but do you know that Jamaica brought in, is it 1.3 or 1.4 billion US dollars just on their music industry per year? So you're
so
talking,
Jamaica got music aisle because
this is what I'm
we ain't
talking
bringing them much from the island industry yet.
yet.
You
Now,
understand?
music in for that island brings in that amount of money. So you could imagine the amount of money that can be made in the music industry. We don't have a population like Jamaica, which we need to build. We need to have a much stronger population. But we have artists that can really go to the top. We have an artist representing Guyana right now called St. John. You know, I think the Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport has reached out to St. John and they're doing some stuff together. But we've got phenomenal artists in Guyana that have no recognition whatsoever, and they need to have that recognition. Trust me, they've been doing it. For
Gilbert.
example, Negus, a
Mhm.
very good Guyanese artist, the son of Small Man. He is managed by myself.
Mm.
He has done work for Jamaican artists, and these are the artists that Guyanese will bring. But it's a Guyanese artist that does work for that Jamaican artist to put that Jamaican artist on the pedestal.
Gilbert, where do you see this administration and everything we do in life?
Hmm.
We are affected politically.
Hmm.
Um, from what you've seen in 2 years, where do you think we are? Where do you see this administration 5 years from now?
Um, because I haven't been here for 2 years. I've been in and out, in and out. I'm looking at the infrastructural transformation first, which is a good thing. I like infrastructural transformation, but at the same time, I want to see the infrastructural transformation matched with the human resource transformation. So I want to see more human resource development programs. All right, that we develop our human per capita, because that for us is what will bring Guyana to the point where we want it to be. I've also looked at the local content bill that's out. People in the Caribbean are saying, "Ah, they're up in arms." A few people are up in arms about it. But I also was in Botswana when Botswana did their local content. All right, and it had the same reaction from a couple of the African countries. But eventually they worked together and created that synergy. So I think overall, CARICOM has to get to that level of understanding because we have basically been shadowed for a very long time. And now that we've got this product now, oil. Now we're not saying that okay, we want to separate from CARICOM, but at the same time, we've got to put provisions in place for our people first to catch up, and then we
We
can
have been presented with an opportunity. We'd be fools not to capitalize on that.
we've got to capitalize first, and then we can allow others to do that. But we
Do
first.
you, being back and forth, you would have experienced different administrations. Do you think,
Mhm.
with the right coaxing, um, this administration is the one really to take Guyana? This government
Um,
is the one to take Guyana forward.
Based on what I'm seeing, this is the government to take Guyana forward. Um, but they need to have again some tighter strategies, and we need to have more um, community involvement, as in think tanks in certain development areas. We need to have technocrats come together and really look at it, not from a political standpoint, but more of a working solution standpoint. All right. That's what we need more of, more than the political.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Gilbert, I want to thank you again.
Thanks.
And I know you got your 9
9
o'clock
o'clock, yeah,
program.
be on radio.
And
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
do this. And where can they hear you on the radio? Just
Well, you can hear me on slamfm.co.uk. That's 93 in the UK. You can hear me in New York City, in the tri-state area, in New York, Bronx, and Brooklyn. That's Majestic Music Radio. It's all online. You can download the application. In Atlanta, it's my exclusive radio. In Canada, it's Cut and Clear Radio, and I'm also on www.africamusictv.com.
forward to the people, buddy.
Yep. Thanks, bro.
Yeah, anytime.